Okay, so today we're going to extract some honey in this extractor. It's going to be fun, out in the sunshine. Probably not a good idea, but we're going to find out. Let's go. I got it in the right way. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. The only thing about this extractor is I like to use the thick. I like to sometimes get the comb to build out thick, and there's just no space right here with the thick comb. Like those caps are completely open, or pretty much open, and they're just. I mean, there might be the occasional one that doesn't get completely open, but overall it's pretty quick and easy. Some of these.
It smells really good.
Yeah. I think the last thing these bees were collecting was goldenrod nectar. It's got that real goldenrod is so pungent. Yeah, my little bee. Get in the hole. There we go. Okay, well, the bees are definitely smelling the honey, and there's even one down there eating the honey. So let's put the top on. Oh, there's actually, oh no. Well, anyway. So I just turned the extractor on just a little bit, and that little bit of movement there got all those bees. There's about 3 bees in there, and they all just flew away. So no bees died in the making of this video. And I'll slowly get to build up the speed, and I'm really curious to see if this thing wobbles, because this is the first time I've had it secured to something. Nice if this thing didn't shake and rattle and roll like it does. Okay, so now we have to tilt the extractor to get the final bits of honey out of it. I don't know why they don't just have the bottom built with a tilt already in it, but anyway, there she goes. Like there's a lot more coming out now that it's tilted.
Oh, there's some bees in the honey drowning.
Yeah, I'll get them out of it.
Okay, yeah, just...
Okay, so now we're at the part of the video where I'm just going to sit here and talk for a couple minutes while we look at these legs that came with my extractor. I decided to throw those legs out completely because they didn't work for me. I eventually bolted my extractor down to a big working area, I guess, shelf or whatever you want to call it, a bench, something like that, in my garage, which is secured to the wall and the whole structure of my shed and to the concrete floor, so it's not moving anywhere, and it just sits on that now, and it works perfectly. But before that, I tried at least 3 different ways of securing the extractor down with those legs attached, and it didn't work out. It always had some kind of wobble. I secured it to a pallet. I secured it to a pallet with concrete blocks. I secured it to a pallet that had rubber tires around the edges tied on, so that even if it wobbled a bit, the tires would maybe absorb some of the wobbliness and take it out. And then I eventually tied it to the, or secured it to the little deck that you see in this video, the deck is basically built into the earth and concrete, and it's solid too. And it was probably the most solid thing I'd attached the extractor to. And it still wobbled, and wobbled out of control in a way that I just didn't feel comfortable using the extractor. And now, because this is the internet and people like to point out the obvious, yes, I know that you should put your frames of honey into the extractor in a balanced manner so that there is no one heavy side of honey on one side and light on the other side. In order to get it to spin properly, it needs to be well balanced. Thanks for pointing that out to me. But yes, I know that. But you need to keep in mind that a lot of backyard beekeepers aren't going to be able to do that all the time. I mean, they get down to, like, say, 5 frames, and 5 frames are not divisible by 3, which is the minimum amount of frames you need to put in this extractor. And so you end up doing some things once in a while where the frames are going to be slightly off balance. And even if you do your best to balance them, sometimes there are heavier frames that don't extract as quickly as other frames because they could have a different nectar source, or the honey might not be as viscous or whatever. And the extractor is going to get a little bit unbalanced from time to time. And in my experience with this extractor, having it probably for 2 or 3 years with the legs on, trying it for 2 or 3 years with the legs on, it just never really played out well. It always shook, and I just didn't like it. I've also heard that you can build a platform for the extractor with wheels on it, and then when it gets out of balance, the wheels help absorb the imbalance of the extractor. And that's great too if you have the ability to build a platform with wheels on it, which I don't. And if that is something that's required for the extractor, then it would be nice to know this ahead of time. And this is what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of small hobbyist beekeepers who will probably buy an extractor like this at some point. They'll invest in it. It'll be a big investment for them. And then they'll get it home and it'll be shaking all over the place like mine did. And all I'm doing with this video is showing that, yes, this might happen to you. And this is what you might have to do to deal with it. And really, I think the best thing, the easiest thing for most people is just to attach it, just remove the legs and attach it to something solid, and that's the way to go, and which is what I did. But I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who use those legs, and they're great. And there is a way to make that work. And maybe there is a way to balance those frames perfectly all the time, but I just don't think that's within the means of a lot of small hobbyist beekeepers. They're going to have unbalanced frames once in a while, and the extractor needs to be able to deal with it. And maybe if I tried more and I'd spent more money and worked on this harder, I might have been able to do that too. That's not to say that the legs are garbage or that there is a flaw in the design of this extractor. All it is showing that, yes, for some people, this is what you're going to have to deal with. And it may not be as simple as just plugging the thing in and going. You may need to build extra things, and you may not have the resources to build those things. Like me, you may have to just bolt it to something solid and remove the legs altogether. So that's really all I'm getting at. I know all about balancing frames. I know about the legs. I know about building things with wheels on them to absorb all the wiggly and wagginess of the whole thing. That's fine. It's great. But that is something that a lot of hobbyist beekeepers won't be able to do. They're going to need to find the quickest, simplest solution that doesn't require a lot of construction and a lot of money. And it's funny how the public perception of beekeepers is so far removed from the reality of what I've experienced. There are beekeepers who are calm and peaceful with their bees and all cool with nature and all that fun stuff. But there is a significant number of beekeepers who seem unable to perceive other angles of approach or understand that not everybody in beekeeping has access to a workshop or a honey house or all the other monetary or material things that make their beekeeping as easy as it is for them. It's not that easy for everybody.